Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
James sent me notes to Steve Checkouts story from KVUE out of Texas. New lawsuit accuses former Texas lottery director of fraud, manipulating game outcomes, and misappropriating lottery funds. Daniel Perot wrote this for KVUE. Days after state lawmakers grilled leaders of the Texas Lottery Commission during a Senate Finance Committee hearing that included accusations of possibly enabling criminal acts like money laundering, a new lawsuit is bringing new allegations about former Texas Lottery Commissioner to light. The lawsuit alleges a long-running fraud scheme in collaboration with Lottery.com and its executives. The attorney testifying said, "My client believes that this criminal conspiracy started in 2017 when the director traveled to California to lobby the founders of Lottery.com to relocate their business to Austin. From that moment on until the director's sudden retirement in 2024, the Lottery Commission and Lottery.com became a combined single criminal entity." Those are some rather harsh words. The lawsuits centered around an April 23 $95 million Lotto Texas jackpot drawing, in which an investigation by the Houston Chronicle uncovered that a group of wealthy investors gamed the system to stack the odds by purchasing a large number of tickets in bulk and obtaining nearly every number combination. Now, that is a concept that people have known about for a while, because the way they run these lotteries these days, with the jackpots piling up when they're not won, it can get to a point where theoretically somebody could buy enough tickets to guarantee that they win and come out ahead. Now, mechanically, it's hard to do because you have to buy so many tickets. How do you do that? Do you walk into a 7-Eleven with a suitcase full of cash and go, "I need 10 million tickets"? Obviously, 7-Eleven hasn't got the capability to do that at any of their locations. Corner gas station? Probably not either. So it would take some effort to do that. But the lawsuit claims that the director and Lottery.com executives manipulated the Texas lottery system to ensure a fraudulent win in the drawing. And that resulted in a $57 million payout for a company that claimed the jackpot. Texas lottery leaders appeared before the committee this week to discuss their biennial budget request. However, lawmakers used the opportunity to grill the leaders on accusations of poor management and oversight highlighted in a recent report from the Texas Sunset Advisory Commission. The class action lawsuit was filed last week in Harris County by the founder of lottery watchdog website LottoReport.com and names the director, Lottery.com, and the company that won that big jackpot. The lawsuit alleges the director and Lottery.com violated state and international laws before, during, and after that big drawing, including printing and selling lottery tickets across state lines and international borders. And so printing them and selling them across state borders. And again, I don't know how they got those tickets printed, and that, I'm sure, is one of the big questions here. It appears that Powerball numbers were entered into the Texas lottery after the drawing had taken place, resulting in over $1 million of fraudulent tickets printed in December 2020 and January 2023. My client believes this criminal activity went on to commit the felonious act of selling tickets out of state hundreds of thousands of times in that 3-year period between 2019 and 2022. The attorney said that the founder of Lottery.com had 142 winning tickets over the course of 3 years, including 2 back-to-back $50,000 Powerball wins in 2020 and 2021. Now, here's the thing. I've mentioned before, I watched this documentary series called American Greed. It's on MSNBC. And they talk about people who run scams involving large amounts of money. And there was actually a situation where a guy who was highly placed in one of these Powerball settings managed to set it up to where he could make himself a winner. And then he would make it to where friends of his would win and then split the money with them. And then one day he got caught, which winds up with him then being in this documentary. And so anytime there's a lot of money involved in any situation, people are tempted. People are tempted. Money is tempting. And when somebody works someplace that hands out gigantic, comically oversized checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, people start getting tempted, going, I wonder if I could pull off one of these wins without getting caught. But the tricky part here is that somebody who works with the lottery wins. And now, I would be under the impression that a person who is employed by the commission shouldn't be allowed to win. But the question then becomes, if that person is winning in their own name or making it so that one of their friends wins, or so on, right? So in mid-January, a 22-page letter was sent to the governor, the attorney general, the Texas comptroller, and a dozen members of the Texas Senate and Texas House of Reps, outlining the allegations and detailing how the scheme allegedly printed hundreds of thousands of illegal lottery tickets in Texas with fraudulent Texas lottery terminals and selling the tickets to customers out of state who were purchasing the tickets on the lottery.com app, not knowing their ticket would actually be printed in a different state than where they're located. The attorney says on a Wednesday, when it didn't win, they said, let's go print all these tickets Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And they needed all those machines in 3 pallets of paper to be delivered by the operator of the lottery to a nondescript little building. And then they won. Go figure. Well, obviously, if you can print the tickets after the drawing, it will raise your chances of having a decent number and a good chance of winning. So the story goes long, long beyond that. It's actually 4 pages long. Everyone involved denies all the allegations. But it's one of those things that I suspect that they'll be able to get to the bottom of and figure out. But as it stands right now, the allegation is that people who work there somehow have won a couple times, and that winning tickets were occasionally printed after the drawing, which I would think means they technically weren't winning tickets. Because I think the rules say tickets sold, drawing held, not drawing held, tickets sold, because that reversed order of operations would kind of take the fun out of it, and probably also remove the margin of profit you'd be making. So it's a crazy case. I'll admit I'm not a big participant in lotteries. I remember when Michigan first implemented the 3-digit and the 4-digit lotteries, and they'd run the numbers the next day in the paper. And I knew people who bought tickets, and the amount of money you'd win wasn't much. But I think the state, this is back in the 70s, I think the state was going, well, gee, people are making money gambling on the numbers. We got to get in on that action. And then, of course, over time, it evolved into these multi-state Powerball lottos where you can win $1 billion and so on. I will admit that in my entire life, I've probably bet about $20 cumulatively. Because when the jackpot gets in the range of $800 or $900 million, I actually think to myself, you know something? I know I'm not going to win. But I'll go buy a ticket because at least I can imagine what it would be like to win that money without having to say, but you won't. Because there's that hypothetical possibility. Someone could win. It could be me. I understand it's a very, very small hypothetical possibility, but I know somebody who works in a workplace where they have a lottery pool. Everybody throws their money in. They buy a bunch of tickets. If they ever win, they split it up. And my friend told me that they only do it on certain level jackpots and so on. And he goes, they'll be sitting around at lunch jokingly saying what they'd buy if they had $100 million, $200 million. And it's not like, oh, I'd like to invest it all in an extremely safe account so that I can retire comfortably. No. If you're going to get $100 million, play with some of it. Buy yourself a Sikorsky Sky Crane and go out and pick stuff up. I mean, do something fun with some of it, okay? And my friend told me that occasionally this guy'd come over and sit down and go, well, here's what I'd buy. And everybody look at him and go, but dude, you're not in the club. And he goes, so if I won, here's what I'd buy. And they go, we don't even want to hear what you'd buy because you ain't going to win. You can't win. And he goes, but you guys aren't going to win either. He goes, but we can. Theoretically, we can. That's all you're doing. So, like I said, I got nothing against the lottery. But if it's run by the government it needs to be run cleanly. And if there are bad things happening or people ripping it off, they need to jump on that. So, like I said, in American Greed, the guy got caught and went to prison, which was a happy ending for an American Greed story. So there you go. New lawsuit accuses former Texas lottery director of fraud and manipulating game outcomes and misappropriating lottery funds from KVUE. Daniel Perot wrote that. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Be careful what you wish for, it just might come true.